The world has changed drastically in the 21st century. But then again, it's not like I'm telling you anything you don't know. So at Midas, we asked ourselves, what is it that the discerning 21st century parent and student is looking for in a school? Grades? Of course, yes. But the discerning parent and student is also looking for something different from the rote learning for acquiring of grades in traditional schools. To be honest, many parents are tired of an education that only drills their children to pass exams. They have seen the futility of such an approach and are craving for something new, a value-added education that is different. It is the search for that difference that inspired the birth of Midas International Boys High School. It is the reason we exist, and the reason more and more discerning parents and students are turning to Midas to experience the difference. Come with me on a journey of discovery. Come with me and experience the Midas difference. So really, who is Midas Boys?
Is an 844 international school for boys.
A school with a different approach to education.
Something new.
Where the learner is put at the center of the learning process.
We are responsive to the needs of a modern world, to the needs of a modern child.
In a nutshell, Midas is something the whole world should watch out for. Now let's have a look at the values and practices that make Midas unique and modern.
We're looking at the role that the school is going to play in terms of producing a student who is going to navigate the world.
As opposed to the traditional school where the teacher is the center of learning, in Midas I think the center of teaching and learning is the learner.
The teachers are team leaders and they work as a corporation. I like that style.
The word international for Midas is not really the curriculum, but what is done, the how, the teaching practices, the way the social systems of the school, the thinking and the ideology behind the school.
Absolutely amazing. Now let's have a look at how the learning environment at Midas differs from other learning institutions.
The place quiet, inanga distractions nyingi, so unaweza focus on your learning.
The traditional classroom is fairly teacher-centered in the way it is structured. The students will sit in rows and the teacher will be standing in front of the classrooms so that the teacher becomes the center of the learning process. In changing the classroom architecture, we have made sure that the students sit in a different environment. They sit in conferencing mode, so that we remove the teacher from being the center of the learning process, and the teacher becomes a co-investigator with the students.
The fact that the method is already different, it creates a completely different way of learning, of absorbing information and learning how to do things. So you kind of become self-reliant.
I will say at Midas, we are driven by values, not by tradition and fear. Now let's have a look at how the integration of ICT has changed the way learning is done at Midas.
The use of the word integration is interesting because it means it is part and parcel of the process. And the students and the teachers are using it at the same time. And in other schools, ICT is a standalone. But at Midas, ICT is at the center of all the subjects, the process of learning, the process of teaching, the process of examining, and the production of the results.
As a Form 4 student, it has enabled me to prepare for the KCSE especially.
As the students are learning, they are also enjoying the process. So we bring in like the use of ICT where we have educational games. For example, we use FIFA football for studying mathematics, vectors. We have Need for Speed, where they can learn about the speed and distance.
The regular 844 school will ask a student to go back to school for tuition, but instead of doing that, Midas sends the work through the learning management system, and therefore the child continues learning, and not only continues learning, they continue getting feedback from the teacher whilst at home. And the parent is also in partnership with this, because the parent monitors what the child is doing at home, talks to the teacher when they need to speak to, and can log on and look at their child's progress or learning journey even when the child is at school.
We're able to get so much resources from the ICTs. We're able to have a variety of the platforms that we use in
teaching and in learning. We expose the students to the world, so they're able to learn real life things, and they get to understand that they can get knowledge even not only from the teacher.
Si mwalimu lazima kufundisha kitu, pia unajiresearchia, unaweza pata information zingine more kuhusu kitu mwalimu akwambia.
Haiko limited to information unlike some textbooks.
We understand that in a world where information and knowledge is available, the skills that the students need are not information, because information is available, is critical thinking. How do you select this information, and what do you do with the information once you have selected the information?
And I think that helps the students to use ICT as part and parcel of their life skills. It is not seen as a subject, as examinable, and that, I think that's a great stride forward. In the 21st century, we're looking at students who are at ease working with ICT.
What type of parent and student will enjoy being at Midas?
It's a parent that's looking for something different. It's a parent that is aware of what's happening around them. It's a parent that is actually aware that what has been happening in the traditional school, it needs to change.
An open-minded parent, a parent who is ready for new ideas.
Any parent who knows that education is a strong tool which can contribute to changing our world.
Parents who are free-minded, who want something different for their kids.
It's a student that is looking for something more creative, a self-discovery process.
A student who would want to push the boundaries of the conventional learning, the conventional classroom situations.
Because the kind of education they get in Midas is the kind of education that will indeed help them change the world, and not only change the world, change an ever-changing world.
Many students wamezoea zile shule za kunini, zile normal. Ukikuja huko inahitaji kuwa flexible, as in waweze tu kuwa fast kwa just to the modern times, the modern school year.
The same question would be asked of the teachers. What type of teacher would feel at home in the Midas environment? And it's a challenging question, because I think that they still train teachers the way they used to train them 20, 30 years ago. And the kind of environment we are creating requires somebody who not only thinks differently, but is willing to be challenged to think differently.
Need I say more? But I'm sure you would like to know, why would parents and their sons make Midas their school of choice?
First, it's cost-friendly.
With the kind of 844 system we have right now, there are so many things that are taught in school that are not practiced outside. And the 844 system, I think, was created so that to be able to make a student who is clearing school, either it's class 8 or form 4 or whatever level, to be self-reliant. And I think Midas is trying to approach and give that opportunity to students.
The students coming out of Midas will not be the same as they came in. This is because their mind will have been enlarged. They will be transformed in their way of thinking. They will not be the students or the people who rely on others to solve problems.
In one word, success. That's what Midas would prepare the kid for.
Midas is the answer to the question, is this it in the other school? Is the grades the end? Is just performing well and becoming top enough?
We are the people who think about education and about schooling. And we are the people who ask ourselves, are we being contemporary? Are we being relevant? Or are we doing the same thing that everybody else is doing?
And there you have it. What a journey and what a promise. Midas exists because we are different to be different, to offer you an alternative to the same old grind. Don't be stuck in the old school. Join the bold and modern at Midas International Boys High School.